guys. That sounded really annoying though. For real. Okay, I'm just gonna wait for a few people to hop on here, and then we'll go ahead and get started with this. So you guys kind of know the base of what I want to do here today. This is like a tell-all for me, my story again, for people who don't know about it, and it kind of like more, you know, from the beginning to now, currently. And I had a few people ask me questions that I'm going to answer today, like coping with people staring at me, hey babe, and healthy relationships, education from friendships and teachers and friends, and then again my story on top of this. So this is going to kind of be like a definitely an interesting one. So I'm going to hop on and get this. So if I do not answer your questions during this, I just don't want to get off topic. I will look and I'll answer as many as possible. If I were to not be able to answer your questions right away, I will answer them at the very end of this. Yes, this one I want on YouTube for sure, because this one's going to help people. It's going to be my story. It's going to be helping parents with their children and education. But I'm going to use my personal story. Again, please remember that this is like, everyone's going to be different. That's really important to know. Thank you. I'd appreciate it. Love you. Okay, so let's get started. So, the first question was actually from my sister, Carly. And so she asked me, how do I deal with people staring? She had a few extra words in there that we're not going to get in detail with, so I'll let that go. But anyway, so how do I stare at people staring? One, personally, I don't let that kind of stuff bother me. I really don't. You know, I'm just me. I mean, regardless of what you say, how you dress, what you do, you're going to have people staring. I mean, it's every day, you know, and then they're like, oh, you're short, you know. And people, I guess, get what I call interested. Hey. So, having said that. So, I just typically will smile at them, and I'll go up and talk to them because I'm just, like, that open of a person. I mean, I have, like, no bounds, I guess, with this. So, there's that. And I just feel like, you know, I really don't care. I'm me. I'm this energetic ball of not shy that you'll meet. And I'm an open book, you know. I love when people ask me questions. I love to answer the questions. I don't know, I just love doing this. I love just people's curiosity, too. I love that. So that's basically how I handle it. And if it becomes obsessive, though, I will kind of be like, all right, listen. Like, can I help you with something? Like, really help you with something, you know? Because I try to be mature about it. I mean, I don't feel like there's any need to have excessive, I guess, reactions. Because half the time, too, if they're not staring for, like, just out of curiosity and they're doing it to be rude or something, they want a reaction more than anything. So I'm not going to feed into it because, one, I ain't got time for the drama. I ain't got time for just the extra crap in my life, you know. And that's how I think of it, you know. I have so much up and positive for me and just so much going on in my life in general that I'm not going to let someone that wants a negative do that, you know, because you got to think at a point where you come to a point in your life where you got to understand you choose your happiness. And people are like, that's crazy. Like, their emotions, you know, you have happy, sad, mad emotions. Well, yeah, you are correct, absolutely. However, then you pick, though, how you take things. You know, you could take that person staring as that person being annoying, or that person just being rude. And maybe they are, you know, but is that really worth your frustration? Is that really worth your being upset, you know? And it can be. Absolutely. And you can take that in so many different ways. And again, there's different types of staring. And so, I mean, to generalize that, it's a little hard. But, I mean, just think of it in this way. Does that really worth your frustration? You know? And honestly, I'm just me, you know? And if they're staring, typically there's a reason. And if it's something they want a reaction, I'm not going to give it because I ain't got time for that. I have too much positive that I want to be positive. You know, you pick how much negative you bring in. You pick how much positive you bring in. You pick how much of that you take out and deliver. Oh, thank you. I love it. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely, you're right. So, again, that's just generalizing. I mean, if it's a rude stare, I'm just not going to cave into it. I'm not going to let it affect me because, one, I don't know them. Two, and say I did know them, I don't care. Look at me, I'm pretty. Like, think about it like that, guys. Like, they're looking at you because you're pretty. I mean, it's how you take it, essentially, I guess is my point to that. So, next question I had asked that I took and wrote down for you guys today. Healthy relationships. Okay, so, I'm single, so obviously, yeah. But, I do have some advice on, and some tips to take to have one. And I feel like this is important. And I feel like this is going to be the point of this because I'm obviously single. So, yeah. Anyway. So, healthy relationships. Communication. You got to be on the same page. If you guys are not ready for the next step, then you're not. But you're making that decision together. If you guys are ready for the next step, that's perfect. That's where you need to be or want to be. You know, another huge important thing in relationships that I think is huge is being each other's best friends. You know, with two of my exes that I can think about, I had a really good relationship with them. Best friends. And that, they were the best relationships ever. You know, I'll go for my most recent and give you guys examples of the pros of that and whatever to help you guys. So the pro was we were nerds. Are nerds. Whatever. So we were best friends. I could tell him anything. He could tell me anything, essentially. So that was like helped us form a trust, I guess, because trust is super important in relationships. And I personally don't feel you can have a relationship without trust. And so, hold on. Diva, enough! Sorry, guys. And so you can't have a relationship without trust. Another thing that's really important, I think I've learned too as well, is that you got to be loyal on both parties. And I guess that's hard, you know, because I guess the other person can cheat and stuff. But if you guys aren't loyal, there's no real love there. And I'm a firm believer in getting to know someone. It's, you know them. You know, you should know them. And that's important too. But that goes with best friends and friendship and forgiveness. Because at the end of the day, nobody's perfect. And at the end of the day, somebody hurts somebody. And it's not necessarily in a big hurt, I guess. But at the end of the day, you hurt somebody's feelings, regardless of who you are, regardless of what you've done. You know, we weren't perfect. Like, nobody is perfect. And so forgiveness is huge. And you've got to be able to move past the hurdles that gets thrown your way. My recent ex, we moved in together. We had a car stolen, which was my car technically, but we just counted it as our car. Yeah, thank you. I'm always going to be honest because I feel like that's so important. You know, like, if you guys want me to get technical and into my very last relationship, we were really good. You know, we could tell each other anything, sing in cars, act like nerds, dance, take selfies, and those cute couple photos and stuff like that, and just be each other's selves around each other. And that's another important thing, is to be yourself. Because if you can't be yourself in that relationship and it's built on lies, guess what? It ain't gonna work, sweet pea. I hate to burst your bubble. Better get out now. Better run for the hills. But, you know, we were good for the most part, and then his family got involved and they didn't like me, so there goes that. And then he went to a part where he really likes me, and he still loves me, I guess. And so it's just his family apparently really hates me that much, I guess, that they wouldn't talk to him if he ever... Yeah, you get that point. And I don't even know why. I've even messaged his mom, texted his mom genuinely. And I told her, let's bury the hatchet. I don't even know why. I tried to talk to her about it. She was not into that, so moved past it, moved on. I was like, all right, cool. And then if you were in that situation, I would not talk about his mom at all. I wouldn't bring her up in conversation. I wouldn't any of that. And if he told me something about her, I'm like, oh, well, how does that make you feel? And I would turn it into kind of his opinion on it instead of mine, and you got to remember, not everybody's going to like you, and that's okay. And I still don't know why his family don't like me. I went to his brother's wedding, and I helped decorate for the wedding. I cooked the whole rehearsal dinner, and they still try to get him to break up with me during that time. Anyway, after all that. So then I decided, he had an hour conversation with his mom, because he wanted to apparently marry me, and she told him it'd be the worst mistake in his life, so there's that. And then that kind of put a burden, I guess I'll say that, on us, and I didn't even know it. I couldn't defend myself because I have no idea what was all said, except I know it was apparently it would be the worst mistake in his life. So, and again, I don't even know why. That never was answered for me. So I made the difficult decision, and he broke up with me though, but he was back and forth with his feelings, and I'm sorry. I know what I'm worth. I cooked all the meals, I did all the laundry, I did all the cleaning, except for vacuuming, but I'm allergic to animals, which makes no sense because I have animals, but that's a different story. So, oh God. Okay, so, and he was acting funny anyway, wouldn't come home. That was only twice he didn't come home, but it was just really hard knowing that. And so I just mentally needed an out, and so I gave him a 2-week notice. We were in a fight, and he told me, he didn't mean it, but he was like, tell me you're never here, so get out, basically. So I was like, all right, got you. So went to PA, started my life, and did what I needed to do, and I chose to leave that situation knowing the repercussions, I guess. And I took that, and I left, and I didn't have to, but I did, just because mentally I was like, I couldn't do it. You're there, you're used to, I was with him 2.5 years, and it just, hey, if he didn't want to stick out, I guess, for me, and if he didn't want to, if I wasn't worth him just even defending to his family, then he is not the one for me. Because I'm not going to sit there and get called the bitch. I'm not going to be known as that. Yeah, I can be. Who can't be? But I'm not going to sit there and let people try to get in my relationships all the time when I didn't do nothing wrong. I mean, I'm not perfect, of course, but to hate somebody for something, I don't know. Yeah, I learned a lot in that relationship, and I think he did too, to be honest. And I'm not don't know. But I just mean, like, there's that. That's one thing that I'll open up to you guys about a little bit. I won't give names or anything like that, but there's that little insight. If you guys want more of a detail of everything, let me know and I'll think about that. But let's move on to education really quick and ups and downs of that. So, as you guys know with Turners, you have this huge chance of I think the thing is before you get in a relationship, I feel like you should already know. I'm a firm believer in that. I feel like I knew what I wanted the whole time. And I'll leave it at that. I know what I want, I know what I deserve, and I'm not going to settle for anything less. Anyway. So, education. Anyway, so the ups and downs. So, there was a lot of ups and downs, I personally feel, in my case, with this education because of the fact that, there's different aspects to it. With Turners, we are known to have like non-learning verbal disabilities, right? So everybody, I guess in general in this education field and education learns differently anyway. For me, I'm a hands-on learner and just doing it. Like if I'm doing it, I got it. Or I'm better self-taught. That is the trick with me. And then I don't really have to study as long as I pay attention. I didn't do bad in school. I always got really good grades, except for in gym class, but I ain't about to run, guys. If I'm about to run, you better be running too, because there's something coming. If I'm running. I'll put it that way. I don't run, I roll. Anyway, but then the really positive thing, instead of just struggling in class for non-learning verbal disabilities, you got early education, not early education, you got LS, or learning support. There are different programs that are different names for different, states call them different things, but learning support is basic mainstream that we have in the U.S. Each country does have a different name for that, which is just extra services, which is extra time on testing, even a different area. At one point, I had to have a different location and extra time on testing. And they would read the testing to me too. When I was in elementary, I had that as well. There's that. And then some testing, like your PSSA if you're in Pennsylvania, or your ISAT out in Illinois. I don't remember the other names for different states. Anyway, so I didn't have to be timed on those things. I got a lot of time as much as I needed. And that, again, goes with testing whatever you test into when you go to apply for your child for learning support. My mom fought for it. That was really hard for my mom to fight for that, because it's hard to get into it, kind of. But my mom fought really hard, and she got me it, and at the perfect timing. I did go to T1, which is transitional first grade. That teacher sucked. She actually got fired because she picked up a kid by his shirt and pinned him against the wall, and end of her career. Anyway, and then she would make you stand in the front of the classroom before you could go to the bathroom, and you couldn't go to the bathroom if you didn't get the question right. Listen, if I gotta go, I gotta go. So, but anyway, that was one bad teacher I had. I really got lucky with most of my teachers. Overall, a lot of them were patient with me. I had a few that really stuck out to me, Mrs. Dell and Mrs. Burrell. Another one that really stuck out for me was Mr. Cozane, Mrs. Cozane, Mr. Caldwell, Mr. Kolar. I actually, going into that, you go to regular stream class to not mainstream class to mainstream class, right? Because all your kids start out in pre-K. And yes, some of them have special pre-K and stuff like that, but I barely met them in criteria to get into learning support. I basically, a fine line. So, For me, I went to a mainstream preschool. Anyway, so, you're pulled out of the class. I went to full-time learning support in 3rd through 5th grade. And then 6th grade, I went for math and something else. I think it was, I can't remember, but I wasn't fully mainstreamed. Then I get to high school. I was fully mainstreamed. However, I did a lot of tutoring. I went out to school. I went over school all the time for tutoring. I'm thankful for that. My mom gave me those opportunities, and the school gave me that opportunities. I had this really awesome lady. She worked with me for years, through 3rd and 5th grade. She worked for me, and she would stay after school with me all the time, and she was amazing. She loved her job. She never complained about staying after. She didn't even get paid for it, and she did it because I was actually behind in classes, and especially my math particularly, because of how I was in mainstream, and then they took me back and I was in learning support. However, I excel at math now perfectly fine, which is actually not common with Turners. Typically they do have issues with math. Anyway, so then you go for that, and then you go into the bullying part. You're different, you're small, you're stupid, as I've been told. I'm retarded, as I've been called, because I've been in those classes. And you know what? I don't give a crap. I'm me. I'm not the most brightest bulb there is. I'm not afraid to admit that. But then it goes into that, and then it goes into relationships, which is kind of what we talked about, a little bit of healthy ones, and kind of some of the tips I learned, a little bit of them. I'll go into more depth with those tips on relationships later. However, so, I take relationships super seriously. Like, if I'm in one, I'm in it wholeheartedly. Like, there ain't no cheating. There's me, that person, and my end goal, which is marriage. And that is what I feel like every relationship should have, the end goal of marriage. And I'm not going to be in a relationship if I can't see it go that far. Not for me. I personally don't get why people cheat. I don't get why people just jump in to jump in. I don't get it. I don't. But anyway, so I got bullied, getting called lesbian, because I had nobody talk to me in 8th grade, because everybody was determined I was lesbian. Cool. Whatever. I don't care what people think. And then they thought I was nasty, apparently, too. Fantastic. I don't let that stuff bother me. I really don't. Because no matter how much you do, no matter how much you try to please everybody, not everybody's going to be pleased at the end of the day. And just, it happens. It sucks. I had 2 birthday parties where absolutely nobody showed up to. I had a birthday party where one person showed up to. I was, and that hurts, when that happens, and you're excited, you're talking about it, and no one shows up. Yeah, so there's that. And that was, I can talk about that in a different time. But yeah, I've been through that. So schooling can be rough, but it also can be the best thing. I got sick a lot, so I wasn't able to participate in school as often as most kids, because my immune system sucks, unfortunately. As you guys know, I'm on and off sick all the time, or not feeling good. So, yeah. I did a lot of self-taught, my mom helping me and guiding me and stuff like that. Hey. Yeah, but no matter what, even if you have TS, or if you have, like, a normal, a normal life, you're gonna have bullying. You can't get it. But that's why I'm doing my speeches, and that's why I'll be speaking at my school. I'm going to be wrapping bullying in with Turner's and explaining you don't know what somebody else is going through at the end of the day. You know, you can see me. Guys, with Turner syndrome, my ladies over here, what can you really tell with me that I have a disease? I'm short, my ears are low, but guess what? Can't see my ears now, can ya? So you just think I'm short, right? So they don't know what people are in. I got bullied because I didn't go to school, and people thought I was skipping school. No, I wasn't. I liked going to school because I didn't go a lot, you know, but then on top of that, I had doctor's appointments all the time, you know, so I mean, it just, there's different variables of that you could really go into, but the teacher standpoints, they worked really well with me. I've been very fortunate, as I said. I only had one teacher who I went off on, and yeah. But if you ask my teachers, who are some of my extra teachers who I didn't like their class, guess what? They would say I'm disruptive. I couldn't agree any more than that because I did not like their classes. And I was one of those kids who would probably be annoying and just keep talking, so they wouldn't get nothing done, to be honest. No matter what state you're in, you're going to be fighting for your kids, and your kids is to go to learning support because you have to prove it, that they need it. And, you know, whether you have to go through a psych exam, like I can tell you I have ADHD and anxiety. Okay, great. So, and they have to learn the adaptive equipment your kid needs. I mean, there's so much that goes into this little thing that really helps your kid, you know? And I loved it. I'm so thankful that I went through that, and, you know, and I used to be embarrassed, to be honest, that I went to learning support. I used to hide it and not talk about it, you know. It's just like the first time I'm like talking about it. And then there's that, you know, and so, but I'm not ashamed of it now. You know, I used to be, but now I'm thinking about it. It's just school. It was just class, you know. There's average classes. I guess I'll call them average. There's learning support classes, and then guess what? There's advanced classes, and that's okay. And I don't need to be popular or top. That's awesome. I'm happy for you. Aw, say hi. Hi, guys. I love you guys. Absolutely. Yes. When you repeat a grade, I've had to do that because I'm in T1, remember. It's not so bad. It's just going to be repetitive for her, so she'll actually do really good. And honestly, that's okay. To repeat a class, you know, just explain to her. My best thing to do would be explain to her that it's not that she's dumb. Some kids just need more time on whatever topic they need help in, you know, and the best thing to do as a parent is to be supportive from her because her classmates are going to move on and she isn't, and she's going to be away from them, and it's going to be a whole new group. And I would honestly look into learning support for her, and I would see if she qualifies, because that little bit of extra help is a big difference, you know. I loved it because, you know, when I was a little kid, they would give me fishes every time I got a question right, and it was like a lot of incentives, and they made it really great, and the learning support teachers are so awesome, and they know how to teach. I had this one teacher, and he was Mr. Cosane. He would refuse to give homework, no matter what. My mom was like, okay, why are you not giving my daughter homework? She's in middle school, like all the other teachers. Give homework, like what? Is she just not doing it? Like, my mom really thought I wasn't doing it, and then it turns out that that wasn't true. I really did not have homework, and that's because, and this totally makes sense, and this is like the most sense it has ever made to me. If you bring home if they teach you something new, right, and you take it home, but you don't understand it fully, if you do it wrong, that's how you're going to remember it. And then you're going to have to he's going to have to reteach it the whole next day. which is a completely amazing view on that. So if I have any teachers on here, please remember that. And another advice I have for her being held back as well, Mom, on here, is to remember it's gonna be super hard on her, because again, it's stressful. You know, she understands what's happening a little, you know, but and then she's gonna see her classmates, and she might get made fun of for it. But just make sure you're there for her. That's so hard. Anyway, see. Yes, tutoring. Also, that's another great thing. Tutoring. If you know your kid's struggling, I can't say tutoring enough, though, because that has helped me amazing. The tutoring did. I had it basically every day, 3 times a week at least, and it helped out so amazing, because you can learn so much in those couple hours, because you have one-on-one time, and a lot of people learn better one-on-one time. You know, it's just not us. It's not just that. You know, there's that. And then Mom, also, since your kid, you know, is getting, have to redo it, which is no big deal, not getting held back. Just make sure you talk to the teachers and maybe see, and you're her mom, you know your kid. If you notice something helps her, talk to the teachers. Let them know. And that's the best advice I have right now. And I'll think of some more. You can personal message me, and I'll see if I can think of anything else off the top of my head, you know, because I got held back as well. So that kind of covered the friends and teachers a little bit with that. But before I tell you guys my story again, what I've gone through in a deeper, you know, light, and kind of explain everything of my life, is there any other questions that you guys have on those few topics that we have talked about in this video so far? About the people staring, healthy relationships, anything of that? Or are you guys pretty good on that? Should I take that as we're good and can move on? Okay. So since nobody's responding on there, time to move on. Okay. So, everybody, I was born 2 weeks early. My birthday's January 22nd. Yay, me. I'm about to be 26. 6 months. I have no idea what HOTS is. But I'm assuming it's like a learning support. And that's awesome that you were able to get that help. Anyway, so I was born 2 weeks early in San Diego, California. Yay! Right across from the zoo, while my dad was in the Navy. I'm the middle child. I have 2 biological sisters, a brother-in-law, and 2 step-siblings, a brother and a sister. They're younger. Also, I had a bump on my head when I was a baby, and I was like not even 2 weeks old, and I had to go to the doctor and hospital for that. That didn't turn out to really be anything too alarming, for what my mom said, but she took me anyway, because you know you're a baby and you got this bump on your head. That's concerning, you know. And then I was a fail to thrive baby, and that's kind of one sign of Turner's as well, is a fail to thrive. So I was a fail to thrive, and it's because I would take forever to eat. And I loved Cuddles. I would be so happy with Cuddles. However, I wasn't getting enough to eat because I would take too long to eat. I guess because I was like a lazy baby. So I was always hungry. And that's why I was kind of cranky, because I wasn't getting enough to eat. So that's why I was actually diagnosed as a fail to thrive baby. And I was actually born also with, and we found this out last year. No, not even, was it a year ago? A year ago, I think. Not even a full year ago. Anyway, me and my mom found out I was actually even born with high cholesterol. We had no idea until we looked through some of my children's hospital paperwork the other time. So there's that. So, and then after that, I had to go through speech and occupational therapy, as well, when I was kind of, going through my early toddler stages and stuff like that. I even went through speech therapy till the end of my preschool, like I was done with preschool and early kindergarten. There was that. And then I had a lot of ear infections growing up, like crazy amount of ear infections. It was weird though, because like I had them when I was like 3, so I ended up getting tubes in my ears at 3. And then I had another spurt of them. I didn't need tubes again, but when I was like 11 and 12, I had another spurt of a whole bunch of ear infections. No idea why. Anyway, so then I had sleep apnea. This is my second bout of sleep apnea, and people are like, how can you have 2 bouts of that? This is how. You can have a baby born with sleep apnea, or at least like have it really young, they can grow out of it. Well, and a lot of times when like babies and stuff have sleep apnea, like they're not uvula, but your tonsils are too big, right? And I was so tiny, my tonsils were too big. So, and that was causing the sleep apnea, of course, because it's like blocking your airway. Well, I would even be snoring watching TV, my mom would say, which I do not remember. Do not ask me why. I have no idea why I did that. But obviously sleep apnea happened, so that's why. So they ended up removing them when I was 4. And the funny story about that one is like, I guess from my grandma Ina told me, the nurse came out laughing and said I had a trucker's mouth. I'm bad. When I tell you I have anxiety about like operations and stuff, I really do. Even to this day, I'll be the biggest baby about them going to the operation or something. But then I'll be like a champ coming out. And so, yeah, I wouldn't hit the button. And I guess I was like having a life grip on my dad. And they were trying to rip him away. And they yelled at my dad because they thought my dad was holding me and not letting me go. But it was me. And then they had me on the operating room table. And I remember keep flipping on the table so they couldn't put me to sleep because I was too scared. And then I went through a phase where like I would have purses and bags and I would hide stuff in them. My mom was so mad. I went through this between the ages of like 3 and 4, and I'd put everything in a bag. Anything I could get my hands on, it was going in a bag, which is so funny now because I love bags. So any little thing my mommy would have on the floor, I'd put it in a bag. Remotes, I'd put it in a bag. Everything. And then, I don't know why, this is kind of embarrassing, but I'm going to tell you this story anyway. So, I would also, like, anytime, and I was like 4 to 5 when I was doing this, I guess. I would poop every time I'd go in the bathtub. But before I'd poop in the bathtub, I would eat a piece of the bar of soap. Yeah. I'll leave it at that. That was not the most fondest moments I've had. And then, I was really tiny. And I would have, like, a lot of kids, like, in the beginning of school years, like, pick me up, throw me around like a rag doll. It's me. I was so tiny. And when I first got diagnosed with Turner syndrome, I was about 5.5. And that was after I moved from California to Illinois. And I moved there when I was, like, almost a year old. We moved to Illinois. Sorry, I skipped that part. So then I would be 4, and we moved to Pittsburgh. And then when I was in Pittsburgh, people started asking questions. And on top of asking questions, just I wasn't growing. And at that time anyway, I had like a whole bunch of like echoes and testing and that type of stuff done on me. And I did know from when I was like a young toddler that I had mitral valve prolapse. I always kind of knew about that. So then, I was about 5.5. I had Turner's. But typically when you find out with your Turner's, you get your growth hormone and everything else like that. Now, I did do that, but I also had really bad ADHD. I didn't find that out until actually around the same exact time. I was 5. And I remember I had to go to my psych appointment, to get diagnosed with ADHD the day I was actually heading to Illinois, which was kind of crazy if you ask me. And my mom packed the sandwiches, put us in the car after my psych appointment, and we went. And then we found out I had ADHD, and then the Turner's test came back, and then I remember my mom and me home, and my mom didn't really tell me at the time that I got diagnosed with Turner's. I just kind of learned, I guess, because I don't know, my mom was honest if I ever asked her anything, but it's just, you're a kid, you don't really think about that, so I was at home one day playing, and next thing you know, the nurse came, and my mom did talk to me, of course, before the nurse came, saying, hey, Caitlin, you're gonna get a shot, this is to help you grow. And of course, as a kid, you're just like, whatever, you don't really kind of ask too many questions about like that medical stuff, so I was like, all right. And I've never really been bad, I mean, with like doctors and stuff, but I like hype myself up. And there used to be a point when I was like, because I was at doctors all the time, where like I had a really bad anxiety, my mom had to hold me and she could not put me down. And if I would even see somebody in a scrub, and they didn't even have to be a doctor, but just in scrubs, I'd freak out and have a complete and utter meltdown. I was like the worst probably kid to have, to be completely honest with you, because of that. But it's because of what I've been through. Like, I've been sick all the time, even as a kid, and I've always had a persistent cough. Well, now we know why. I have asthma. Who knew, right? Like, we just found out literally when I was 19 years old. I lived 19 years, guys, with asthma without getting diagnosed, which was completely insane, remind you. And then, so I was too tiny to go on ADHD medicine, and I would only let my mom give me my shots, and of course, other doctors if you went to appointments and stuff like that. So then, I started growing up a little bit and going to school, and just every time we'd go to the doctors, it just seemed like something else was going wrong. Like, I still to this day, it's like that for me. Like, when something goes down, it goes down. I go to a doctor, oh, look, there's 2 more medical conditions. Great. Freaking great, right? So, I was about in 4th grade, and I started having a lot of, like, belly issues, bowel issues, so that's how we found out about IBS. I had to go get a colonoscopy done, of course. That wasn't too fun. And a little funny stories, I knew I'd get in trouble if I'd be bad. Of course, who wouldn't get in trouble for being bad, right? For the colonoscopy, so I sat down on my blanket on the floor right after I left through the doors, because that was like my first procedure, like away from my mom, like her not walking me there. I was like 12, or something like that. And so I was like, no. So I sat down on my blanket and I wouldn't get up, and they drugged me on my blanket. I completely didn't think that through. And anyway, so yeah, I'm a brat when it comes to that. And then I woke up and it was like so weird because my pants were down. But I guess you had a colonoscopy, what do you expect, right? But you're 12 years old, you look up and there's a nurse like pulling up your pants, and you're just kind of like, what the hell just happened, So there was that awkward experience. And again, I was sick all the time, so like I missed school all the time. And I have doctor's appointments every 3 to 6 months, and that's still like that for me. I'm always at doctors. That's my life, always been my life, And schools were horrible about that. My mom always it got to the point where my mom had to literally get a medical excuse every single time I missed school, which my mom typically provided anyway, but it was mandatory because I missed so many days of school. And then, I've had my gallbladder taken out. I was 19 when I got my gallbladder removed. And I mean, I've had this little fun thing. You can't see it that much. I had that removed. It's a piece of skin. I had that removed when I was 21. And then I had my liver biopsy. Let me tell you something about that liver biopsy. That is no game. And I had liver problems since I was in 4th grade. It was been an ongoing struggle. I had this doctor. He sucked. And I normally don't say that about doctors because I'm typically trying to be on their side. He sucked. He only did lab work. And we were like, And he said there was a process. And for my Turner mamas who are dealing with this for their kids, there's typically a process. Supposedly for the first basically 2 times, essentially, you're going to have lab work. And then it goes for, you're going to get done one of those, not echoes on your liver, but your, I can't remember what it's called. Anyway, it's basically imaging of your liver. And then you would get like an MRI of your liver. And then after that, you're supposed to get like the liver official like biopsy, right? No. I was with this man from fourth grade to finish out my whole entire the rest till I was 18 with him. He only had the blood work done. The ultrasound, that's it. He only had the blood work done. He didn't do like anything else. And eventually I got super sick and I was starting to puke every single day at least once. So they thought I had a blockage going on or something like serious. So I had an upper and lower IG done. Those suck, by the way. You don't ever want that done. Anyway, so then he decided around that same time I had to drink this really white stuff. Anybody who knows me knows I hate the taste of liquid medicine. You're about to be sitting on top of me and shove medicine down my throat because yo girl is not about to be taking medicine. I don't do liquid medicine. I'd rather you put a tube up my nose than give me liquid medicine. I'm dead serious. That's how bad I hate it. You can ask Carly, who's watching right now. Say hi, Carly. But you can ask Carly. My mom would literally have to sit on top of me and shove the liquid medicine down my throat if I needed liquid medicine. I don't play when it comes to that. Well, I had to drink these huge cups, 2, of this chalky, white, nasty stuff. And it was supposed to like light up my, it didn't even taste like regular dye. It was just this chalky, gross stuff. And it was to take a picture of my liver too. That's the farthest he ever went with me. So then I was like really apprehensive, especially like going from peds to your regular physicians and stuff like that. So I was guarded. I was like, okay, great. And I feel bad now for my liver doctor because I put him through the ringer. And my doctor daddy, Dr. Seydou Bass, I love him. He is the best. I love him so much. Anyway, so he's the one who recommended me to him. And I'm like, I really don't know, man. Like, So I go to this liver doctor. And I'm like, he was like, well, I do want to order some labs. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. That is basically all that's happened since I was in 4th grade. Is there even a point for me to be going to this, like, liver doctor stuff? Like, is there? And especially, like, when my liver enzymes are high, there's not exactly a hint to why I am not sick when they take it. Because, of course, when you have, like, a cold, cough, whatever, that'll like, elevate your liver enzymes, too. I wasn't sick. And they kept going up. Well, what the heck? So, and then I started, like, getting yellow sometimes. And then, like, I was retaining, like, water and stuff. And then it was getting pretty bad. And so, I went back the second time. And the liver test came back that my liver enzymes were, like, 1,500. I want to say they were over 1,500. They were 1,500 and something. And so then he was like, okay, now it's time for a liver biopsy. And I was like excited because, okay, he's going to do something. But then it was like dealing with that procedure, right? Because you're awake and you're awake during that liver biopsy. And I don't do good with procedures even getting put to sleep, let alone awake, right? Like, I've had tons of procedures and stuff like that. Like, when this surgery I had right here, that operation, I was awake. But I actually really like it, being awake now, because it's so cool watching it. But the liver biopsy wasn't so fun. This one, you have a local anesthetic when they remove your skin like that, and then it's not so bad. I mean, of course, the shots aren't too fun, but after that, you don't feel like anything. But now, let's talk about the liver biopsy. That is completely different. Okay, so I'll go on the little tangent on this day, guys. So, you know, I woke up, my grandma went to the hospital with me, and I drove because she's really good at, like, distracting me, and my mom is too. Anyway, so I was going, and I was driving to distract myself so I wouldn't be, like, obsessively thinking about what's going to happen, like, because I'm one of the people who I'll know what time my procedure operation is, and I'll, like, count down to it, and I'll work myself up, like a mofo about it. So, we got there, and I started thinking about it, like, oh no, we're almost time. Because I can literally tell you exactly for what moment, and I can walk you through it. And I'll watch this procedure before I even get it done on YouTube and stuff. YouTube's very great for that, guys. If you're the same person as me and love watching those medical stuff, YouTube's great for that. Be 18 years and older. Anyway, so, so I get there, you know, and I saw him, and it became real, you know, because it came, you know, how they'll have the anesthesiologist, him, whatever. So I saw him, and my face was from smiling for once, because the nurse and my grandma were talking to me, so I had smiles on my face, and I saw him, and I went from to just like that. And he laughed when I did that, and he was like, oh, come on, it's going to be a good day. And I was like, you're about to be poking my side. Like, this is not going to be a good day. So, then I was like, all right. So, he was doing a liver biopsy before mine in a different room. So, then he came back. And then he paged for ultrasound. And I knew I had 10 minutes. So, then I'm in panic. And then he introduced these, like, new students there. There was 3 of them. And here I am starting to get hysterical already because I'm like, oh my God, I have 10 minutes. I'm about to get stabbed in my side, and it's about to be a liver biopsy, and oh my God, and I'm awake. Like, just all these thoughts were, like, going through my head, right? And so then, freaking he was like, is it okay if they stay in the room? And I'm a person, I will always let students watch me. We have turners. We're rare. We're lucky if one doctor their whole career deals with us. So I said yes. So they could have that experience before they're even out of college, right? No big deal. So then, you know, because ultrasound's down, they got to start doing the, as my doctor called it, I don't care medicine. I cared. Okay? So, and remind you, I'm 21. I should have my big girl panties on, but I didn't. And don't. So, I was sitting there, and he was like, at this point, guys, you're going to notice she's going to start to relax. Meanwhile, he's already 2 vials out of the 4 vials in. And I was like, oh, no. And then he was like, and she's going to get to the point where she don't care. And I looked at him, and I was like, I still care. I still care. Completely about to be, like, losing my mind. And then I was like, saw them, like, touching my side, and my eyes got, like, really big, and the nurse was super great with me, and my grandma was great too. They just started, because, you know, you get the I don't care medicine, it kind of makes you woohoo. Anyway, so she grabbed my arm and, like, put it over my head like this, and then she talked to me. Next thing you know, I feel the stabs, and you can literally, and I can describe this for you guys, literally this biopsy, like, you can literally feel the needle slide right under your ribs, because it's, you know, under these, like, these 2 ribs, right? So you could literally feel the needle move in and out with the numbing medicine. And then there's a few different types of liver biopsies, so I'm not doing anyway. And they make a little incision, and then they take this big needle, and it's huge. And then they just look at you, and they're like, all right. They're like, just breathe in when I say so, breathe out, hold your breath. Like, you have to hold your breath for a certain period, and you have to blow out right on time. So he's like, all right, hold your breath. And you're just like, and I was like panicking, but I was like, all right. So I was like, and then they stab you with it while you hold your breath, and then you blow out while he pulls out. and then you hear like this click, like this thing like clicks, and you'll never forget it when you have one. It wasn't the worst thing in the world. I was obviously, the pain was okay. Didn't feel the best, didn't feel the prettiest, but I made it through. And there's that. And then it kind of started, with everything I've been through medically. I had over 10 different operations and procedures. I've had my deviated septum fixed when I was like 13 when I had my deviated septum fixed too. And so, I've had so many operations and procedures that I can literally help people. I can walk you through it. The moment you walk through the hospital door, hi Donald, this is Donald, guys, to the moment you go to home. Literally, no matter what procedure you have. So, I'm fortunate about that. But it also gave me a lot of anxiety for my mom to deal with. Like, whenever they went in to do my nose one, I almost jumped off the gurney bed because I wanted my mom. I flipped out. And I was like, the guy was really rude, the anesthesiologist I had. The pre-op wasn't so bad, and because the nurse I had, he was like, this is going to be the worst part of your surgery. And I was like, okay. Me not believing him, of course. Donald, you're about to sit on my face. Sorry, guys. Anyway, and then, then we got in there, and I was like, can my mom come in here? And he was like, no, she's not there. I'm like, but I'm not either. Like, as a kid, I'm like 15. So I'm like, I'm not either, because like, I don't have a gown on like them. I'm not scrubbed in like them or whatever, but apparently she couldn't. So whatever. And then I started like really wanting to like speak about Turner's, and because I see 10 different doctors, and I've been through so much like procedure wise, is that like honestly like I just want to help people. That's my goal. And so I used to talk to Jesse. Oh, I just said his name. Anyway, I used to talk to my ex, and about doing something like this. I was like, I really just want to speak about Turner's and bullying and just everything with it. And I didn't really have the courage to do it because I was like, I don't know if it'll go nowhere, and I may not have luck. And I was like, and who would really, really want to hear me talk, So I didn't do it. And then whenever we parted our ways, I really was like, I really wanted to do this, and I never really got to give it a try. So then one day I was like, you know what, I'll make a Facebook page. So I did, and I started posting random things in there, as you guys know, and made random lives, and to see kind of how that would start off. And then it took off and taking off. And then Children's Hospital in Pittsburgh, I went there since I was literally probably like 5, 6. So I'm very familiar with them there. And so they asked me to speak about Turner's, which is what you guys have saw in my speech about Turner's and stuff like that, which was the most amazing, guys, opportunity in my life. That setup in that back room that nobody even knows about in like hospitals, is just so crazy, so amazing. And it was cool because I could tell my story about how I went through speech, occupational therapy. I went through, I've had several car accidents. I've had, the bullying I've endured, all the doctor's appointments, all the medical testing, the bone density scans which isn't bad, you just lay down, it's like an x-ray essentially, and you got like a cone. I know there's some people just have like these things that they just like tie your legs together, and then there's one where like there's like a triangle that's in between your legs, and they tape it, like, not tape it, but strap it there, and it's like velcroed. From those to, everybody really gone through MRIs and CTs and stuff like that, and gone through that. I've been through I got hospitalized, I can't even tell you how many times, to be honest. I've been ambulanced twice in my life. Yeah, that was pretty bad. One was from a car accident, one was because I was so sick. Learning to drive was pretty difficult for me. because of our spatial issues that we have. I do have it to a point, but I've learned to adapt to it, so it's not so bad for me anymore. And what else should I tell you guys? I don't know. I just take things day by day, and like, I don't know. I'm me. Like, that's all I can really say. But is there any questions about my story, about what I've talked about today that you guys want to know? Hi, Rocio. I love you. Is there any other questions you guys have about my topic today that I have talked about, or want to know any more info about anything like that? Okay, guys. I miss you, Rocio. I work with Rocio. She is so sweet. And the crazy thing was we were sick at the same time before. Yes, and in the PM. I would love to listen to your story. I'm so excited. FaceTime me. Okay? Alright, I love you guys so much. I want to thank you for your support. I love you all too, like, so much. If you guys want me to do a live on something, message me anytime. I love you. If you guys want to know what it's like to work with me, Rocio's the girl. And a whole bunch of people on my Facebook, actually. Alright, guys, I love you so much. I hope that you enjoy your night, and I'm gonna go to bed. But if there's any other questions, comment down below. If you guys want me to make a live on something, just message me and I'll do a live on it. I love you.